But where we ended at the end of Matthew 11 was when Jesus said, like, come into me, all who labor and heavy laden and overburdened, I will cause you to rest. It's always amplified. I will ease, relieve, and refresh your souls. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am gentle, meek, and humble, lowly in heart. You will find rest, relief, and ease, and refreshment, and recreation, and blessed quiet for your souls. For my yoke is wholesome, which means useful, good, not harsh, hard, sharp, or pressing, but comfortable, gracious, and pleasant, and my burden is light and easy to be borne. And then the next verse brings us right into 12. At that particular time. So now we're just going to take that place of saying that his yoke is easy, that when we're walking with him and in him, like what he's doing with us, through us, in us, beside us, he is coming alongside and he's bearing that so that the requirements aren't like this heavy thing, pressing thing. He's saying, I'm giving you rest. And then he's going to bring us into this place in Matthew 12 where he's saying, I am Lord of the rest. So like it's this increasing measure of revelation of him. And this is where we're going to see, this is the place where the Pharisees, the teachers, who were teaching the law, teaching the people at that time, this is literally where they had came at odds with him. This is where they were like, wait, not so fast. And this is where they turned and said, we need to kill this guy because of his claims. Because of his claims as being Lord of the Sabbath, this is what really shifted them into a place where they're like, we're going to kill you. Not so like, hey, we want to, we just want to give you a hard time. We need to quiet you, to, okay, we need to kill you. So we're going to talk about how we get from there to there and why that's so important to us. And so at that particular time, Jesus went through the fields of standing grain on the Sabbath. And his disciples were hungry and they began to pick off the spikes of grain to eat. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, see there, your disciples are doing what's unlawful and not permitted on the Sabbath. And he said to them, have you not even read what David did when he was hungry, and those who acknowledged him or accompanied him, how he went into the house of God and ate the loaves of the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, nor for men who accompanied him, but for the priests only? Or have you never read in the law that on the Sabbath, the priests in the temple violate the sanctity of the Sabbath, which means breaking it, and yet are guiltless? It's in reference to Numbers 28, 9, and 10. But I tell you, all right, here's where he got himself in trouble. I tell you, this is where the identity that Jesus had was unshakable. He had an identity that he could speak out of that didn't matter what other people thought, and it did not matter the amount of opposition it was going to come. He didn't do it for the sake of opposition. He did it for the sake of revelation of his Father, because he was the living revelation Word of God. He was the very nature and Spirit of God walking here. And so when he did it, he did everything so that we could see Jesus. And in it, his identity was unshakable. Something greater and more exalted and more majestic than the temple is here. And if you had only known what this saying means, I desire mercy, readiness to help, to spare, to forgive, rather than sacrifice and sacrificial victims, you would not have condemned the guiltless. For the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. So Jesus is revealing himself as Lord of the Sabbath. Just Well, good morning. Melissa, will you just grab that chair by you and just bring it up next to Cindy?
This is Joanne.
Oh, Joanne. Joanne, come over here and sit over here next to Melissa and Cindy. We'll get you right in up here at the table.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. Good morning, Sarah. So Jesus is revealing himself as Lord of the Sabbath. Now, in my commentary by J. Campbell Morgan, which is helping me understand a little bit some of the deeper context here, it's that of all of the religions, the Sabbath is what set aside the Jews at that time. Other religions had circumcision, different kinds, different ways. Other religions had temples. Other religions had worship. But the Jews were the only one whose religion had a Sabbath, a time that was mandated in order to set that time aside to rest, to refresh, and to rest from work. And so when Jesus said, I am greater than that, that shook them. It shook the very ground on which they stood, because they were standing on the law and they had no revelation of the heart of God in the matter. Nor were they willing to see and be open to a new place of revelation. And so he's saying, I am Lord over the rest. I am Lord over that place of restoration. I'm Lord over that Sabbath. And in the Sabbath, there is an authority that comes when that Sabbath means that you are resting in a place of authority. It's not like every night we just need to go to sleep, because our bodies are designed for, approximately 1/3 of the day to have a time when it can rest and restore. It restores our brain. It restores our body. It restores sleep is so important. And so it's that rest. And then one day a week to have this time where you can set aside so that spiritually you are able to set aside a place where it's focused on your spiritual rest. And so it was the mindset of religion is about doing the right thing. The mindset of religion will always be fixed on the tree in the garden, which is going to be about the knowledge of good and evil. The mindset of religion, see, when they said honor the Sabbath, they took it into a place of let's make sure we're doing the right thing. Okay? You can be so focused on, am I doing the right thing? Am I following all the laws? Am I following all the commandments? That you'll still miss Jesus. Okay? And so they were so focused on it. It's like, okay, if I can measure myself by what I understand to be what's good and what's bad, what's good and what's evil, then I'll evaluate what I see Vicky or Erica or Cindy. I'll evaluate all of y'all by what's good and what's evil based on how I understand it. Then I'll also judge myself by how I understand. Am I doing something good? Am I good enough? And how am I measuring myself? That will always produce self-righteousness. And so the only righteousness that they could have was a self-righteousness, which was no righteousness at all. And so the righteousness of Abraham was intended to be the righteousness that comes through faith in the sacrifice. And so then the greater sacrifice would come. And so when he said, when he was breaking through these mindsets of religion, he wasn't just trying to hurt them and oppose them. He was trying to reveal the heart of God to them, bring them into a place of greater enlightenment, greater light, and greater fulfillment. And so what happens is when they undervalue Jesus, they didn't understand mercy. They didn't understand anything. They didn't understand that seeing a disciple walk through a field and grab something because they're hungry was the greater law of the Sabbath than the rules that came out of this place of do and don't. They couldn't understand that if you bring a sacrifice, but you don't have mercy in your heart for your brother, then there's no honor in that sacrifice at all. Because he says he desires mercy over sacrifice. And so when the couple of things that I'm just gonna articulate that came from this commentary, their criticism was not their enlightenment. And so we want to be careful at what we criticize, because what we criticize doesn't come out of a place of enlightenment in Jesus. It came out of ignorance. And so their blindness came from a place of misunderstanding. They could not understand and they couldn't see, and therefore they were blind. And it said, if a man brings a sacrifice and has no mercy in his heart, then his sacrifice becomes blasphemy. Because it doesn't represent like what God desires. Right? Okay. So Jesus is bringing forth and vindicating his disciples and himself through his own declaration of himself as Lord of the Sabbath, one who is greater than the temple. All right. Now we bring him into a place where he is coming to a man with a withered hand. So we're still on the Sabbath. And we're going to see what Jesus does on the Sabbath. Verse 9. And going from there, he went into their synagogue. Behold, a man was there with one withered hand. And they said to him, is it lawful or allowable to cure people on the Sabbath days? And they said this that they might accuse him. And so they're still trying to trap him by the tree of good and evil, right? But Jesus, his whole life and his whole identity isn't flowing from, are you doing the right thing? His whole identity is flowing from, there is one greater, and and I am him. And so when he responds to this question, he's responding to them with a question. Now what he's doing is helping them, and it's an invitation. I'm telling you, it doesn't come out of a place of Jesus just trying to trap them and say, now I'm going to get you. Let me just box you into a corner. Like Jesus, because he walked with the heart of God, one, was not willing to accept the mindset of religion as the limitation, but he was giving them an opportunity, ever extending to them through his mercy. He was extending to them an invitation to come into a place of greater revelation and greater enlightenment in him. And he did it through a place of revelation in a place that they could understand if they were willing to go there. And so here's what he said. What man there among you, if he only has one sheep, all right, pause. Does it say if he has a sheep or if he sees a sheep? Has. What's that mean? If you have a sheep, who owns it? You do. So he's saying, I own the sheep. Okay? So we're going to take it into a place where you take care of what you own. I own the sheep. You take care of a sheep if it was yours. I'm taking care of a sheep because he's mine. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. That's greater than any battle strategy you'll ever need. All right. If he only has one sheep and it falls into a pit or a ditch on the Sabbath, who will not take hold of it and lift it out? How much better and more value is a man than a sheep? So it's lawful and allowable to do good on the Sabbath days. So he's saying, I'm not breaking the law. I'm actually still in alignment with the spirit of the law that you already obey. Because David went in and ate the showbread. The showbread was after 7 days, and it sat on the altar. Then it would be served to the priests, and the priests gave it to David and his men when they had need. And the priests, if they went in and they were serving up sacrifices, they had to, cut the animals and da-da-da. They had to do what you would consider work on the Sabbath. And it was lawful because it was needed. So he's saying, we're still within the spirit of, but you don't understand the spirit. So then he said to the man, so now here is the thing. Jesus is reasoning with their value and reveals their values. Like, do you value the people and see them as your own? Or do you value what you own more than the people? So if a man has, Jesus sees his sheep and he has a sheep. And when he has a sheep that's in trouble, he's going to rescue the sheep. So when we see a sheep that's in trouble, we rescue, because that's Jesus in us. We aren't alone the rescuers. Jesus is the one who rescues, right? And I say that as somebody who's like often fought that rescuer, mentality. When you operate in mercy, you have to find this place where Jesus is saying, like, it's not you, Audrey, it's me. So I'm going to bring some guardrails in there. What you own, you are motivated to rescue. What you own, you are motivated to rescue. And so Jesus is exposing the fact that because he owns them, he is here to rescue them. And so now he's saying, I am not. So now let's follow the chain of logic that's really just like making them angry, but giving them an opportunity to step into this place with him. All right? I am Lord of the Sabbath. I am one who is greater than the Sabbath, one who is greater than the temple. I am the one who owns the people. And those claims are the claims that they could not tolerate. They could not tolerate. And so here they're going to bring him in and question him, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? And he's just answered that question. So now he's going to open up a question to them, and that's what he's doing. And to demonstrate that the work of the Sabbath, the true work, is to reach and rescue a man. And so he stepped over their prejudice, and he stepped over all the nationality and the prejudice that they had in their hearts. And he's exposing. And so he'll expose any prejudice, meaning prejudgments we have in our lives about anything and anyone, anything. And God's going to bring us into like a higher place where we operate out of a place of, deeper, greater revelation in him, because that's therein is our authority. All right, so he reaches out to the man and he says, reach out your hand. And the man reached it out and was restored, as sound as the other one. But the Pharisees went out, held a consultation against him, how they might do away with him. What a great conclusion, right? I mean, miracle happens. And because they don't see themselves as owning and therefore needing to rescue and help this man, right? They see it as, you're breaking the rules, you're making claims that are greater, and we're going to do away with you. So let me bring you into one more place. And so last night, and this weekend, we've had the blessing of having the Bruner family at our house, and Laura and Shane have been here. They had a family, they had family in town. Caroline and Zach were in town, and they had a wedding last night for the family. So just conveniently, the Jet Airbnb opened up, and we were like, you know what I mean? Like, and when you have that, like that hospitality in the Lord, like, the table's full, the rooms are full, the heart's full. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a fullness of heart. There's no like weariness in it. And I enjoy it, and I've enjoyed it. And, but last night I was saying like, Shane was like, what are you teaching on tomorrow? And I said, well, we're teaching we're going to go back into Matthew 12. And I said, that's the one. And he said, oh yeah, that's where, the man with the withered hand. So I'm going to give you this a piece of what Shane Brunner gave me that he actually has a whole message on, but I want to release it here. And I'm going to take this into a place of challenge for this week for you, okay? So get your notes. You're going to have like one question that the Lord's going to press you with this week, all right? The man with the withered hand, all right? In that, there's two things. One, withered by nature, what that means, you know, it can mean that it was just like frail and that it was not usable. It could also mean that it didn't exist. You know, that it was just enough. But either way you look at it, he said the word restore used here is the only place in the entire Bible where that word is used. There's other words where restoration is used, but in this is the only place in the Bible where the word restore is used. And the word restore, get this, means to create a new structure. So, Melissa, when God is doing in you right now, he's creating a new structure. What he does in us when he's restoring us is he's creating a new structure. He's not, Amanda, just trying to bring you back to where you were, because that wasn't where you need to be. He's going to bring you into where he is, okay? And he's going to bring you into a place where you allow him by his Spirit to create a new structure. So who has something in their life that God is doing? Maybe he's revealing to you this place of identity. Maybe he's revealing to you a place of faith. Maybe he's revealing to you a place. But in your mindsets, in your behaviors, in your thoughts, in your being, he's creating a new structure, inviting you into it to operate out of. So that in 2024 and in this season, he's creating new structures for you, with you, in you. So he took this man, and the other thing Shane said, and I want you to write this down, is that when Jesus said, hey, here's a man with a withered hand, like, know that lame people, because of the law, could not be in the temple. So we have just a little bit of the woman with an issue of blood thing here. You are where you culturally aren't allowed to be. But he had a need and a desire to be where God was. Not knowing that Jesus was going to show up, he still had a need and desire to be where God was. And so Shane said, when the man first reached out his hand, he was hiding, look at me, he was hiding the part that was withered. And he was handing Jesus, because this is the part that was acceptable. All right? So there's a part in all of us that we think is religiously acceptable. Look at the good things Jesus has done. Look at this. Look at this. Look at me, walking in faith, love and victory. Like, this is us. I'm too blessed to be stressed. We love that. I'm blessed and highly favored. We love all the confessions. And we love to offer to God that thing that we think is acceptable. But then what Jesus said is, give me your hand. And he gave him the thing that was unacceptable. He gave him the thing that religion would not accept. But Jesus wasn't here just to accept it. He was here to create a new structure and heal, so that that hand could now glorify God completely. Because in that day, when you had any kind of lameness in your body, it was thought that it's because there was sin in your family. And so it was as if a representation of the fallenness of your family was going to be represented in the temple of God. And so it would be a shameful thing. But see, in a moment, God didn't just restore his ability to work and be useful. Like, let's agree, that's probably the lowest form of the achievement right there. That's the lowest form of that miracle. The greatest form of the miracle is he removed all of the shame, all of the hindrance, everything that would have brought the criticism and the gossip and the questions and everything else that would have kept him from being in a place where God was. So my question and my challenge to you and to all of us this week is, what is it that we need to offer up to God and extend to God? What is God asking us to extend to him in a place that he wants to restore? What is it that he wants to bring a new structure, a new way of thinking? Where does he want to bring us into a deeper place and a greater place of alignment and a greater place of enlightenment in him, so that his life in us is fulfilled? Lord, I thank you. I thank you for your word. Your word is living and active and a double-edged sword. Lord, I thank you that you're able to divide asunder the motives and thoughts and intentions of all of us, Lord. Lord, I thank you for reaching the very heart and the spirit of each and every one of us. And Lord, we offer up to you, all of us, Lord, that you can strengthen the work that you're doing in us, that we might see Jesus in greater measures. Even specifically in this fast, I just pray for deeper places of revelation in you. In the mighty, mighty name of Jesus. Amen.